Welcome back, Lincoln Currency. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this little coin might be worth more than you could ever imagine? Well, what if I told you that a simple 1990 Lincoln penny, something most people overlook in their spare change, has shocked collectors and auction houses alike with its soaring value, one of them even reportedly valued at over $786 million. Sounds unreal, right? But hold on, because today, we're diving into the wild, mysterious, and unexpectedly lucrative world of the 1990 Lincoln cent. A coin that looks ordinary on the surface, but hides an incredible story behind its copper-coated exterior. Now, before we go any deeper, let's rewind the clock back to 1990. George H. W. Bush was president. The Berlin Wall had just fallen. The world was shifting. And in Denver, the U.S. Mint was striking billions, yes, billions, of pennies. But among those billions, something strange happened. Something unexpected. Something that would decades later send shockwaves through the numismatic community. That something begins with the mint mark, specifically the little d stamped just below the year point. 1990 marked a transition point for the U.S. Mint. From 1990 onwards, the mint mark on coins was no longer punched manually by hand into the die. It was integrated during the die creation process using a computer-aided system. Prior to this, mint marks were added separately. But this shift in technology was more than just a small tweak. It created opportunities for anomalies. Tiny mistakes that would later become huge, valuable rarities. The 1990 Lincoln penny is generally made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, a standard composition that started in 1982 when the mint shifted away from the more expensive copper alloy. It features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. But as with many coins, what makes it interesting isn't what it's supposed to be, it's the mistakes, the oddities, the rare variants that slip through the cracks. And this is where the legend of the 1990 penny starts to take form. Most 1990 pennies are worth just 1 cent. Maybe a bit more if they're uncirculated. Maybe a couple of dollars if they're in pristine condition. But there are rare exceptions, variations, errors, and misstrikes that make collectors and investors go wild. In the case of the 1990 stories began to surface, whispers, rumors at first, of one particular specimen with extraordinary qualities. A coin so unique that it fetched a mind-blowing valuation of over $786 million in a private appraisal. That's right, not thousand. Not million. But $786 million. What could possibly make a humble penny worth nearly $1 billion? Let's explore. First, there's the alleged error itself. Some versions of this 1990 penny reportedly lack the D mint mark entirely, an impossibility according to mint protocols. If that's true, it would be classified as a mule or misstrike, a hybrid error so rare that some coin collectors wait their entire lives just to see one. Another rumored variation is a 1990 penny struck on a bronze planchet, the kind used before 1982. If authenticated, that would make it an ultra-rarity because no bronze planchets should have been in circulation by 1990. Now, a 1990 penny without a mint mark is already well known in collector circles, because of the 1990 no-S-proof penny. This version was struck in San Francisco and is an official proof coin missing the S mint mark. One of these sold at auction for more than $20,000. But the 1990 is a different beast altogether. It was meant for general circulation, and the Denver Mint struck over 4.9 billion of them. So finding a rare error version in that sea of copper and zinc is like finding a diamond in a gravel pit. But every now and then, someone does. Let's talk numbers for a moment. The standard 1990 penny in circulated condition? Worth about 1 cent. In mint state condition, particularly MS67 or higher? You might be looking at $50, maybe $150. But then we enter the realm of errors, die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and repunched mint marks. Suddenly the value skyrockets, sometimes into the thousands. But the coin that allegedly fetched that $786 million appraisal? According to reports from private collectors and auction circles, it was an ultra-rare prototype or misstrike unlike anything seen before. Speculation surrounds whether it was struck on an experimental planchet, or perhaps featured a double denomination error, something previously only seen in coins like the 1959 D Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. That coin alone sold for $50,000. So you can imagine how a unique 1990 D with multiple errors and perfect condition might command astronomical value. But is the $786 million figure real? Well, in numismatics, hyperbole can often distort facts. Some say it was a marketing gimmick or an insurance appraisal rather than an actual sale. Others believe it's part of a secretive collector's vault, held privately and never to be auctioned. Yet others speculate that its real value comes from the story attached to it, one of rarity, mystery, and the human desire to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. But here's what we do know. Collectors today are scouring their change jars, coin rolls, and piggy banks, looking for any 1990 D penny with peculiar traits. Some people have found coins with die chips and Lincoln's eye or ear, known as BIE errors. Others have discovered double die reverses where the letters on the Lincoln Memorial appear to have shadows. And a few have struck gold, figuratively speaking, finding uncirculated examples that fetch hundreds at auction. And yes, this isn't just about the thrill of collecting. The US coin market has exploded in recent years. Thanks to platforms like eBay, Heritage Auctions, and Stack's Bowers, rare coins can now reach a global audience. Demand is higher than ever, especially among young collectors. Combine that with a shrinking pool of surviving era coins, and you've got the perfect storm for high prices. So what should you be looking for? First, inspect the date and mint mark carefully under magnification. Look for doubling, missing elements, or unusual spacing. Then check the weight. A 1990 D penny should weigh around 2.5 grams. If it weighs closer to 3.11 grams, it could be on a copper planchet, extremely rare. Examine the edges for clipping, and the reverse for ghosted images or design transfers from other denominations. If you find something truly unusual, don't clean the coin. Ever. Take it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification can multiply your coin's value tenfold. Once graded, consider submitting it to an auction house or listing it online, but always keep good photos and provenance records. Whether the $786 million penny is myth, legend, or reality, one thing is absolutely true: the 1990 D Lincoln penny has become more than just a cent. It's a symbol of hidden value, of everyday treasures, and of the extraordinary possibilities that sometimes lie in plain sight. So next time you find a penny on the ground, don't just walk past it. Pick it up. Flip it over. Take a closer look. You never know, you just might be holding history in your hands. And that's the incredible story of the 1990 D penny. A coin most people toss aside, but one that might just be worth a fortune. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check your pocket change. Because treasure could be just 1 cent away. The 1995 D Lincoln cent is one of the most commonly found pennies in circulation today, yet it often sparks curiosity among coin collectors and enthusiasts due to its historical context, minting origin, and rumors of high market value. This video dives deep into the story, minting process, and truth behind the alleged multi-million-dollar worth of this seemingly ordinary coin. From its origin in Denver to modern-day internet myths, we are going to examine every detail surrounding the 1995 D penny, separating fact from fiction and exploring what actually makes a coin valuable in the world of numismatics. To begin, let's rewind to the year 1995. The Lincoln cent had already been a staple of American currency for nearly a century. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent replaced the Indian head penny. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original Lincoln cent featured Lincoln's bust on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. In 1959, to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday and the 50th anniversary of the coin itself, the reverse design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo. By 1995, the Lincoln cent was still being produced in massive quantities. In fact, the Denver Mint alone struck over 7 billion Lincoln cents that year. To be exact, 7,128,560,000 coins. These were standard circulation coins with a copper-plated zinc composition, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, a formula that had been in use since mid-1982, when the U.S. Mint transitioned away from the earlier bronze alloy to reduce costs. Therefore, from a metal content perspective, the 1995 D penny isn't intrinsically valuable. Its worth is primarily numismatic or speculative. But what about rare varieties? This is where some of the 1995 Lincoln cents become interesting. The most well-known collectible variety from that year is the 1995 double die obverse, also known as the 1995 DDO. It was minted in Philadelphia, not Denver, which is a crucial point when considering the 1995 DS roll. The Philadelphia version has a clearly visible doubling of the inscriptions, especially noticeable in the word Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." These doubling errors occurred when the die, the tool that stamps the coin design onto blank planchets, received a second, misaligned impression during its creation. This 1995 double die obverse variety is sought after by collectors and can fetch significant premiums depending on its condition. However, it is important to clarify that this specific variety does not apply to the 1995 D Lincoln cent. There is no widely recognized or confirmed major double die or mint error variety for the Denver minted 1995 penny that matches the scale or popularity of the Philadelphia version. That being said, minor errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, cut breaks, or plating bubbles may still appear on 1995 D coins and can increase their value slightly among error collectors. As for the myth that a 1995 D Lincoln cent is worth $786 million. That figure is wildly inaccurate and completely unsubstantiated in any credible numismatic publication, database, or auction record. No coin in American history has ever been sold for anything remotely close to that amount. The most expensive coin ever sold is the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, which fetched $18.9 million in a 2021 auction. The idea that a 1995 D penny, which is readily available and can still be found in circulation, would surpass that by nearly 40 times is not only illogical but also reflective of misinformation often spread online to generate sensationalism. These claims often originate from clickbait articles, videos, or social media posts that rely on hype and half-truths to gain views. Sometimes, they use legitimate coin terms and values but apply them to the wrong coin. In this case, they might be referencing the 1995 double die variety, but mistakenly associating the Denver Mint mark with it. Or worse, they might be inventing entirely fictitious sales or appraisals. It is always crucial for collectors and the curious public to consult reputable sources such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, or auction results from Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers to verify coin values. If we shift our focus to actual market values for the 1995 D penny, we'll find that in circulated condition, these coins are typically worth their face value, 1 cent. However, uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS65 or higher, can sell for a modest premium. For example, a 1995 D Lincoln cent in MS65 red condition might fetch $1 to $5. In MS67 or MS68 condition, and certified by a trusted grading service, it could be worth $20 to $100 or slightly more, depending on eye appeal and demand. The population of high-grade specimens is another factor that affects value. While the Denver Mint produced billions of these coins, only a small fraction survive in pristine mint state condition due to handling, distribution, and general wear. That scarcity in top condition creates value among registry set collectors, those who build competitive sets of coins with the highest possible grades. Moreover, there are always buyers looking for coins with unusual features. So if you happen to come across a 1995 D penny with an unusual error, such as an off-metal strike, broad strike, or double planchet, then yes, you might have something special. but it will still likely be valued in the range of tens to hundreds, not millions. Let's take a moment to also understand why people are so easily misled into believing ordinary coins might be worth millions. One reason is the general appeal of treasure hunting. The idea that a common object in your pocket change could be a hidden fortune is irresistible to many. It appeals to hope, imagination, and a desire to beat the odds. Coin collecting, known as numismatics, is one of the few hobbies where knowledge directly translates to monetary value. A well-informed collector can identify a rare die variety or error that others overlook. But the key word here is informed. Without accurate information, it's easy to be misled. Another reason is the visual similarity of rare coins to common ones. For example, a 1955 double-die penny, which is a genuine rare and valuable coin, can look quite similar at first glance to an ordinary 1955 cent unless someone knows what to look for. The difference may go unnoticed. This visual ambiguity creates fertile ground for hoaxes and exaggerations. So when someone hears 1995 penny worth big money, they might assume all 1995 pennies are valuable, without understanding that only a specific variety, from a specific mint, and in a specific condition, holds value. So to be absolutely clear, the 1995 Lincoln penny is a mass-produced coin with no known major error or variety that commands extreme value in the numismatic market. Most 1995 pennies are worth 1 cent. Mint state examples can be worth a few dollars. Extremely high-grade examples certified by third-party grading companies might be worth slightly more, possibly up to $100 in the best of cases. Any suggestion that a 1995 penny is worth hundreds of millions of dollars is a fabrication and should be treated as such. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't examine your change or develop an interest in coin collecting. Quite the opposite. Coin collecting can be an enriching and rewarding hobby. By studying coins, you gain insights into history, art, economics, and manufacturing technology. It can also be a way to connect with others and develop a keen eye for detail. Some coins genuinely are worth thousands or even millions, but these are usually very rare, historically significant, or contain major minting anomalies. If you believe you have a potentially valuable coin, your best course of action is to research it using trusted numismatic resources or have it evaluated by a professional grader. Never rely on viral articles, social media claims, or vague stories without photographic evidence, or a traceable source. In conclusion, the 1995 Lincoln cent is an interesting piece of modern U.S. coinage history. It represents the evolution of minting technology, the persistence of the Lincoln cent design, and the public's continued fascination with hidden treasures. While it is not the rarest or most valuable coin by any stretch of the imagination, it still serves as a window into the broader world of American numismatics. The next time you find one in your pocket, take a moment to appreciate the history behind it, even if it's only worth 1 cent. And remember, in coin collecting, knowledge is worth more than hype. Thanks for watching, and keep searching your change. You never know what real treasure might be hiding there. Have you ever picked up a penny, glanced at it, and tossed it aside, thinking it wasn't worth much? Well, what if I told you that one of the most common coins in your pocket change, a 2007 Lincoln penny, could potentially be worth thousands of dollars? Maybe even, according to some wild claims, $786 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But let's take a long, deep dive into the story of the 2007 Lincoln Memorial Cent, exploring its history, its design, its potential errors, and why some coins are reported to be worth so much more than just 1 cent. Sit tight, because this is going to be a long journey into the world of numismatics, coin collecting, minting mysteries, and modern coin hype. The Lincoln penny is one of the most collected and widely circulated coins in American history. First minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person instead of a symbolic representation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the penny has remained relatively unchanged since its inception, with only a few modifications over the decades. The reverse design, however, has seen significant changes, from the original wheat ears from 1909 to 1958, to the Lincoln Memorial from 1959 until 2008, and then to the 4 reverse designs in 2009 celebrating the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, and finally to the Union Shield design from 2010 onward. The 2007 D penny falls near the end of the Lincoln Memorial reverse era, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The D Mint mark signifies that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major mints operated by the United States Mint, alongside Philadelphia, San Francisco, and West Point. The Denver Mint is known for producing high volumes of circulating coinage, and in 2007 alone, it struck over 3.7 billion Lincoln cents. Yes, that's billion. With AB.SO, with such a high mintage number, how can a 2007 D penny possibly be worth more than face value? The answer lies in condition, rarity, mint errors, and collector demand. While the vast majority of 2007 D pennies are worth just 1 cent, or maybe a few cents if they're in uncirculated condition, a small number of them have unique characteristics or errors that make them extremely desirable to collectors. Let's start by talking about mint errors. These are mistakes that occur during the coin production process. Some of the most valuable errors include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and die caps. A double die error happens when a coin is struck by a die that has a misalignment in the hubbing process, causing a doubling of the design elements like the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile. These can sometimes be very obvious, and when they are, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling. An off-center strike occurs when the coin blank is not properly centered in the press, leading to a design that is partially missing or shifted to one side. The more off-center, and the more of the design that is still visible, the more valuable the coin tends to be. A broad strike is similar but occurs when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out more than usual, often with a flat or distorted rim. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or country entirely. These are rare and extremely collectible. For the 2007 D Lincoln cent, one of the most reported valuable error types is the double die obverse. While not officially recognized as a major variety by some coin grading companies, there are examples out there with noticeable doubling in the lettering, especially in God We Trust, or Liberty. These examples, especially in high mint state grades like MS67 or higher, have fetched serious money in auctions and private sales. And here's where things start to get really interesting. There have been rumors, viral posts, and sensationalist articles claiming that some 2007 D pennies are worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. $786 million, to be exact. Let's address that head on. No, there is no official, authenticated, or auction-verified instance of a 2007 D penny selling for $786 million. That figure is wildly inflated, often part of clickbait articles or misunderstood listings on online marketplaces. Sometimes sellers post absurd prices as a joke, a test, or to generate attention. Occasionally, these get picked up by the media or social platforms, and the rumor mill begins. That said, there are 2007 D pennies that have sold for thousands of dollars. For example, in ultra-high mint state grades, like MS68 or MS69, where the coin is nearly perfect and free from any marks or wear, collectors will pay a premium. These top-graded coins are hard to come by, even with billions minted. Getting a coin graded by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC can also significantly increase its value, especially if it receives a high grade and is part of a recognized variety. Another factor that contributes to a coin's value is its eye appeal, that is, how attractive the coin looks in terms of color, luster, and strike. Some coins, especially those that are well struck with a full, sharp design and brilliant red coloration, are more desirable than others with dull or spotted surfaces. Red is a grading term that refers to the original copper color of the coin when it was first minted. Over time, copper oxidizes and turns brown. Coins that still retain their original red color are much scarcer in older issues and more valuable. But let's talk a bit more about market hype and collector psychology. Sometimes, coins go viral. Someone posts a video or a social media post claiming that a certain penny is worth millions, and suddenly, everyone's checking their change. While this enthusiasm can be great for getting people interested in coin collecting, it can also lead to misinformation. It's important to understand the difference between a legitimate mint error or rare variety and a regular circulated coin that's being hyped up beyond its actual value. So, what should you do if you have a 2007 penny? First, check its condition. If it's well worn and scratched, it's probably not worth more than a cent. But if it looks brand new, uncirculated, shiny, and red, it might be worth setting aside. Next, look for signs of doubling in the lettering, date, or Lincoln's profile. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe for a closer look. If you think you have an error, consider getting it evaluated by a professional coin dealer or sent to a grading service for authentication and grading. Now let's talk numbers. A standard 2007 penny in average circulated condition is worth 1 cent. In uncirculated condition, maybe 10 to 50 cents. But a high-grade example in MS67 red can sell for $30 to $100 or more. If you're lucky enough to have one graded MS68 red by PCGS, you might fetch $400 to $1,000 depending on the market. A verified error coin, like a double die or off-center strike, could go for hundreds or even thousands depending on how dramatic and rare the error is. As of now, there is no evidence or auction record of any 2007 Lincoln cent being sold for $786 million. That number is not realistic. To put it in perspective, the most expensive coin ever sold is the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for around $18.9 million in 2021. A modern penny surpassing that by dozens of times would be major news in every financial and numismatic publication in the world. But just because it's not worth hundreds of millions doesn't mean it's not interesting or valuable in its own right. The beauty of coin collecting is that every coin has a story. The 2007 penny represents the end of an era, the final years of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, and a continuation of over a century of Lincoln's image on American coinage. It's a reminder of the legacy of the 16th president and the enduring power of small change. So keep checking your pocket change. Look closely at those pennies. You never know when you might come across a hidden gem, an error, a high-grade strike, or a piece of minting history that could be worth far more than its face value. Maybe not $786 million, but still enough to get excited about. And whether you're in it for the thrill of the hunt, the joy of history, or the possibility of a lucky find, there's something magical about realizing that even the most ordinary-looking coin can hold a secret worth discovering. Keep collecting. Keep learning. Keep looking down, because treasure might just be in the palm of your hand.